So, last we left off, we'd had a look at Saber. He was pretty cool. We had a look at Victory Leo. Could have been cooler. Now we're up to part 3 to see how the whole show comes together. Ooh, yeah. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the return of the fearsome double, Holly and Fire. These came with it. Micro Masters. Here they are, back on screen together. Let's go! They're not the greatest spaceships ever, but this is what they look like in the show, so, you know.
It's just a yellow bird.
There's no one to blame but us for accepting this, but I love it. It's some, you know, wicked Super Sentai-esque retro, could almost be Gundam. Yes, I know it was the guy who went on to do Gundam who did Saber, but it's still a Transformer because it was before that happened. Yeah! Alright, let's combine these two modes, shall we? First you want to start with Victory Leo, and you just want to take this off. That's all you do. Take that off. Maybe fold these out the way for now. But that's it. Then we get Saber. A little bit easier, I guess, if you take that off at first. Now what we're going to do is twofold. We want to plug these bits and slot in these side tabs. These are the grips here. Be warned, they're tight AF. Like, I thought I was going to break this piece first time I did it, because this is well flimsed. This is some soft McDonald's-esque nonsense. It is a satisfying click in, but it's a difficult click out. And then you kind of just, you know, splay those boosters and get it so it slots right. It's not too difficult. Again, in much easier than out. Once you're there, just grab the shield and put it back exactly like it was. Upside down. Then you can get this massive canoon, fold this bitty down, and give it the old plug it in. Is it here? I think it's here. That looks about right. I don't know why, but looking at it puts the Samurai Pizza Cats theme song in my head.
Samurai Pizza Cat. Oh yeah!
Who do you call when you want some pepperoni?
As for the actual combined mode, it's cool, because that's what they did, and that's, you know, why Ginrai was sacrificed, so that you could get the amazing amalgamation of Brainmaster advanced technology with Godmaster power components for a Brain God. Brain God. I guess it serves to make Saber feel a little more aerodynamic, because now he has some extra wings, but they do seem a little bit like they're right in those thrusters, so I don't know how much extra speed you're actually adding with those wings. Can't argue with the firepower, but not sure about the speed. What's pretty nifty, and I must admit a little bit unexpected, you get that base, it actually still supports the weight. Like, of course it does, because, of course it does, but I wasn't confident. I wasn't confident that he'd do it, but he does. He's got presence. I'll give him that. I don't know how actually cool it is objectively, but in terms of being a Victory fan, I'm on board. I'm all in. This is the great hunk of flying nightmare guns that I expected it to be. I must admit, he is a little bit rickety cricket in a way where I don't think he's meant to have a flight feature like this. So, you know, be careful how much stock you put in that stand. So while I go ahead and get these guys back into their bot mode for the final showdown, or the final countdown even. And just while I whip these two back into their robot modes for the almighty transformation that is Victory Saber, I just gotta take a beat. When this happened in the show, it was very cool. You'd had a lot of story building towards what would end up being, you know, Ginrai becoming Victory Leo, the two of them being able to combine the advanced systems of Brainmasters with the incredibly powerful components that made up the Godmasters, just made for one hell of a fighting force, and they really did lay the smack down once they got into full stride on just what they could do in this new combined form.
Offer expires while you wait. Operators are standing by.
This right here is my first issue. Like, Victory Leo is a little shorter than Saber in the cartoon and stuff, but not this much smaller. I feel like it undercuts his character too much. These two, like, fusing together into their combined Victory Saber mode, it should feel like Goku and Vegeta doing the fusion dance. But instead, it's a lot more Batman and Robin. So this is obviously part 3. There was a couple of things that I missed in part 1 and 2 that I would like to address now, for the record. So, I actually didn't notice first time round till someone was kind enough to point out in the comments. You've got some extra articulation here with a bit of a forward butterfly. It does unpeg his chest a little bit, but it does get you a little bit more sword wielding action. The other point of articulation that I missed out first time round, you can pull these wrists a little bit further past just being, you know, flush with the wrist. So you do get a little bit of a tilt out of that. And that does help with the sword wielding action. I also forgot to mention on Victory Leo that he does actually come with a little sheet of stickers to finish out. I'd rather they just painted it, right? It's not like it was, you know, a cheap piece. There we go. Look at that. That's only a mildly nauseating application of skill. Now, just before we get to these two combining, I thought it might be worth having a quick look at them alongside their forebearers. When you look at them together like this, you can't help but feel a little bit shortchanged by the scale of the Victory Leo update. Just a little bit. I know it's a different thing, but you know, the originals combined, these guys are about to combine. It could have been a little bit bigger, I'm just saying. So, for this transformation process, we're going to start with Victory Leo because, well, he really is the one doing all the heavy lifting in this whole process. Star Saber pretty much just showed up on the day the assignment was due and wrote his name at the bottom. But anyway, flip that head out the way, and then this whole section should just slide backwards. You want to rotate the head, close that up, and fold that down so that he's a scene kid with a plushy backpack. Then twist around this fist, bring it up, and finish it out like that. Once they're there, unfold the wings, and then much like with his flight mode, you can just tap these back in on here. From there, we just want to fold up the guns, spin them around. That is piece 1, ready to go. That is a good looking jetpack. That's enough to make Ace McCloud jealous. Then with the lower half, it actually works remarkably similar to the original version. Snap it in half, fold out a big foot on each side, then you're going to want to open the panel and collapse that leg. You got to make sure that these joints here stay flush, because then you'll have that tab there, the port's in there to hold that foot piece in place. And just fold up that foot cover. Foot. We'll do that quickly again. Fold up the foot, open and collapse the leg down. From there, this tab to that port. Fold it where the leg breaks. Make sure you keep the joints level, otherwise that tab won't line up. Bam! And then it's just folding up that foot guard again. A couple of boots of haste. When you see how they combine, it's not super hard to understand that it was Star Saber who came up with this particular set of plans for a new body. It's like, alright, what if I more or less stay autonomous as I am, and you fly apart into 3 separate pieces, becoming my jetpack and my boots? I was like, well, that doesn't seem super fair. I was like, no, I have to fold away my toes. I'm completely toeless through this whole affair. That's a fair trade. So, to put them on, these little calipers are going to grip onto these grooves in the feet, and then the toes should kind of just sit through, is my understanding. Let's see if that works. That works. That's a bigger foot. I think now I understand why we had the limited ankle tilt. Okay. Some prior objections withdrawn.
Excuse me, bad guys. I am running out of air. Gotta get pumped.
Alright, they're not coming off. No matter what you do, that foot is not falling off. But it's a little bit stressful to clip it on. He's now too tall for the frame. So we're going to come around to the back. Reminds me of the white falcons that would fly on at the end. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get this nubbin to engage with this nubbin, or we're trying to hook these 2 bits here onto the top there. Top guns mounted. Alright. Victory Saber in full effect. So one thing that I hadn't actually noticed with this bad boy is the amount of weapon storage he actually ends up having in this mode. So it's time to wield your Mega Death Cannon. That's cool, because you can actually just store that sword on his hip. Oh, that just looks so cool. That is just badass, that is. There's no 2 ways about it. That is a cool guy move. What giant mech power-up is complete without this almighty railgun monster make Megatron feel bad about himself cannon? So, Doom Cannon. Chuck it in his hand. He is now a little more limited in where he can aim and things. That bottom section of the gun can actually clip onto his bicep to make sure, you know, don't know, no recoil, computer precision aim, I don't know, it's dope. That's what it is. It is a little bit of a shame that with the way the wings are mounted, you can't angle them to be able to get full clearance on that shoulder anymore, so that's a little bit of an articulation issue in this combined mode. But when you get him throwing the right shapes, this figure is just incredible. He's got wow factor, he's got style, he's got class, he was there. That's how he became the commander. That display stand also comes in quite in handy in this mode. You just gotta reconfigure it. Hey, there we go. All kinds of slightly elevated floaty fun to be had. What I also quite like about this mode is there's actually a fair amount of weapon storage that they've built into it, so that you can have whatever kind of array you want rocking without necessarily leaving anything behind. If you want to store some of that weaponry, you can flip that up at the back, and then just use this peg here, and that hole there, and then that's stowed across there. And you'll see that little lip there will work with this. You can store that shield across his back. Boom, shield storage. Also at this point, if you wanted to have that sword stored away smaller, you can just put that blade back inside his leg, and then just clip, you know, the shorter blade to his hip, Eye of Thundera style. Victory! 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 Let's go! I mean, look at that. This guy is cutting a real mean silhouette. Like, that's a bad dude. Even with all of his ordnance tucked away, you still know very much this is a bot of war. And before we wrap this up, I figured we better have a few comparisons. So we'll sit him back here, and then here he is with fully combined OG Victory Saber. They don't make them like they used to. Certainly not in terms of size or, like, oh god, density. But you can't argue with the engineering, can you? Well, I have with those shoulders. But everything else, right? It's a great time to be a collector. Transformers are dope. We're getting the craziest, coolest stuff we've ever seen. And by way of a final comparison, here he is alongside Legacy Menasor. I think this is a great comparison to show just how big this Star Saber set ends up once it's, you know, in your hands and fully combined into Victory Saber. You know, he looks like he could hold his own. Martial discipline versus brute strength. I'm all about it. And there we have it. This brings us to the end of our 3-part odyssey. So, where does Ham come in on the whole Haslab Victory Saber set? Well, I can completely understand that for the price point and the QC issues and some of the limited articulation options, it doesn't quite seem like you're getting your value for money. He does seem overpriced, but it is like a niche set. It's a high-end collectible. But then why doesn't it have that high-end feel? Do I have any regrets about picking him up? Not in the slightest. He is an awesome character. I couldn't imagine that there is any other way that we would have been able to get from mainline Victory Leo and Star Saber to be able to come together and combine and blast effects and stands, and I guess they still had a bunch of Micromasters laying around, but still, I am stoked, and this figure is going to have a position of reverence amongst my shelving. Who's got him? What do you think? Who's been following us as we break down this whole set? I want to hear from y'all. I also want to say thank you, and, you know, happy holidays and New Year's and all that jazz. Thanks for bearing with us through this point. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. If it's something you've already done, way to go, you little legend. Let me know what you thought below. Let's get nerdy with it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Go!